Today we are going to talk about starting with these questions. Did we understand the message of the kingdom of God? Did the apostles understand the good news of the kingdom of God? Did the disciples of Jesus understand what is the good news of the kingdom of God? Even now as a Christian, are we sure that we understand about the kingdom of God? If you wanted to understand where the good news of the kingdom of God, we can start with Genesis. The chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. There we see the great plan of God for humanity. If you want to understand the word the Bible, we can resume it in 2 sentences. The establishment of the kingdom of God on earth. The establishment of the kingdom on earth. Yes, we know even God is the king. When God created human, He wants to establish him as a king over or whatever He created. Whatever God created, the intent of God was to establish a man as a king. That's what we can read in Genesis chapter 1, 27 up to 30. We can read also that in chapter 2, verse 15, Jesus, God told to the man, full of the earth, subdue it. In short, he said to him, you are the king of whatever He created. The second sentence, the love of God. The love of God. Why we say the love of God? Because if God didn't love the man, if God didn't love the man, He would not establish him as a king on whatever He created. It means God doesn't want to do anything without man. It is a great joy of God to work with a man. Yes, that's where we say, if you want to resume the Bible, only 2 sentences. The establishment of the kingdom of God. Yes, the love of God to humanity. So, if the requirement for the man, the qualification for the man to be a king depended on one condition. Trust God and believe Him. That is where Adam and Eve failed. God told them not eating on tree of knowledge of good and evil. But they didn't trust God. They didn't believe in God. They trust in Satan, the old serpent. So when he fell, because of the love of God, God didn't abandon the man. He made another plan. How we can restore the man in that function. That is why, if you want to understand the Old Testament, you have to know that it was only the plan, the vision of God to re-establish the man as a king again. Because the man disobeyed, now he belonged in the kingdom of Satan. So the world and the plan of God was first of all to rescue the man lost. How will he proceed? He chose some people. He chose some people that can see that they will obey and trust him. After Adam and Eve fell, the period that followed, people done bad things only. They rebelled against God. Up to the Noah, he see at least Noah is obeying and trusting him. He chose him and plan to make a new generation. That is why he bring the flood to destroy everything and the humanity. But he just keep Noah and his family. From Noah, after the flood, people disobey again. They abandon God. Japheth, he abandoned God. Shem, he abandoned God. And Ham, the three sons of Noah, they all abandoned God. But in the family of Shem, after a long time, at least like 1,000 years or 2,000 years, God sees someone who's seeking him. Who was it? He was Abraham. Abraham, he manifested something very important. Faith in God. God come and visit him. He tell him that he must leave the family, his family. That we see it in chapter 12 of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1 to 7. God tell him to leave. When Abraham trusts and they obey, God tell him he will establish him and create in him a great nation. That is why Abraham get 2 sons. Ismail from the slave and Isaac from the promised wife. He didn't choose Ismail even he was the old. But he chose Sarah because he chose the son of Sarah and Abraham because he was the promises. I want to tell you, if God has promised you something, you have to believe that you will see it. God can't lie. God is love you. God is want you. So that is why we are focused on this great plan of God to establish the man as a king. So he didn't choose Ismail because he was from the slave. He chose Jacob. He chose Isaac. Isaac get 2 sons. Esau and Jacob. Esau neglected the firstborn right. That is why God didn't choose Esau. He chose Jacob. And Jacob, he get 12 sons. That are the foundation of the people of Israel. Up there, God didn't talk about the kingdom. But in the family of Jacob, we see in Genesis chapter 49, verse 8 to 10. We see there the idea of establish a king come. Israelites, when they came from Egypt to the Israel, Canaan, when they was conquered all the space they need, they was led by Joshua, and after Joshua the judges. But when the people of Israel arrived in the promised land, they didn't trust and they obey God. God abandoned them. And the nations surrounding them started to fight them. And they didn't have that power to win again the battles because they didn't obey. They didn't trust. When you don't trust God and when you don't obey Him, you can't win any battle. You can't win any sin. You can't win any demon. You need to trust God and obey Him. That is why Israelites failed to face the enemies. So because they see around them they starting to tell to Samuel that they need a king. But it was not the will of God. Samuel, the prophet Samuel told them, really, I will give you the king. But the king will treat you badly. The sons will be the slaves of that king. God told to Samuel, tell to those Israelites, they don't reject you, Samuel. They reject me. That is the problem of human being. God created a man to walk with him. But the problem, people want to walk without God. They want to walk independently. That is the problem since the creation. Up now, we want to be independent. We don't want to follow the will of God. We want to do whatever we see it is good. But my friends, if you abandon God, if you are connected to God, you can't face the kingdom of darkness. You can't face the kingdom of Satan. You will be taken over by the darkness and the devil. But if you believe in God, trust Him and walk with Him, because that is the original plan of God. That is the love of God, to walk with Him. So they abandoned and rejected Samuel. And God gave them a son. And in a few times, Samuel didn't obey God. Samuel didn't obey God. Saul. The King Saul didn't obey God. Saul didn't obey God. When he sent him to take over of Amalekites. When he sent him to destroy Amalekites, he didn't obey. That is why God abandoned him. God abandoned him and installed another kingdom. The kingdom of David. So we will continue up there in the next day. Shalom, shalom.